like to welcome you to the open part of our open hearing. On behalf of our colleagues, I'd like to welcome our Ms. Liu Wing Lan, our new member.
趙永蘭女士呢，
Mr. Chiu is the new DMS, and we also have the police, Mr. Chiu Yi, and I'd like to welcome all the police officers attending our meeting today. Today, I'd like to record a vote of thanks to the previous DMS, Mr. Lui, who is now the Director of Operations, and we would like to record our gratitude for his contributions. 3 members today are not able to attend: Randy Yu, Mr. Hon Kwon, and Mr. Yun Ka Heng, Dr. Yun. They are not able to attend for personal reasons. The first item today is to confirm the minutes of our meeting held on the 18th of March. The Secretary has not received any proposed amendments. So if there are no further proposals for amendment, shall we approve or confirm the minutes? Item 2, we have a presentation by the police on the pilot scheme for operational deployment of drones. This is about the operational deployment of drones. The police officer will now walk us through the presentation. Thank you. We need to change with the times. We would like to leverage on the use of technology to enhance our efficiency, operational efficiency, to provide better service for the public. At the same time, by using technology, we can also enhance our internal operations so that we can become more efficient. On the 23rd of May 2025, the police officially launched a 3-month pilot scheme for operational deployment of drones. The pilot scheme will aims at extending the use of drones, including the use of automatic drones to carry out operations to enhance our operational efficiency, and also to conduct anti-crime high altitude survey and enhance our operations. In order to enable you to better understand the scheme, we have today Mr. Cho Ko, our superintendent, to brief you further on the pilot. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the committee. I am the superintendent. My name is Ko. To my left, we have Vincent and Jim, who are from my division. I'm going to take about 20 to 25 minutes to walk members through the pilot scheme for operational deployment of drones. I will divide my briefing into several parts. First of all, before the pilot scheme, I'd like to explain to you how we use our drones, and secondly, details about the pilot scheme, and thirdly, what are the major issues that we've identified in the pilot scheme and how we should address those issues, and finally, the implementation and operation of the scheme. First of all, in the entire police operation, now the most important part for us is the topography as far as the scheme is concerned. In the course of carrying out operations, our officers need to where they should go to and where they shouldn't go to, and this is very important. And therefore, in most of these operations, we will use drones to, first of all, survey the topography, so that during the operation we will be able to deploy our officers more efficiently. Secondly, take the example of firework display. We will also need to find out about the human traffic. When we will start, we do have to start to implement traffic management and so on. We need to have drones to have high altitude survey so that we will be able to deploy, make deployment accordingly. Thirdly, for operations like, actions tackling, smuggling, how do we know which are the vessels traveling at sea are suspicious? When we talk about these, vessels used for smuggling, they use very powerful onboard motors. While they're engaging in smuggling, the merchandise they store in the cabins could be very cold. So by using drones, we'll be able to find out the color of the objects in the cabin and decide whether or not the objects being carried are suspicious. Also, in hiking trails, sometimes hikers may have lost their way, and we will need to conduct, rescue surveys. In which case, we will also need to deploy drones to help us, recover the hikers who have been lost. Finally, in the course of our training, we will also use drones. So what is the difference between the the pilot scheme and our operational manual? Now, it's like remote vehicles. We have a pilot holding on a remote and looking at the drone himself. But in the pilot scheme, we're talking about using an automatic patrol model. That is, by using technology and using a drone, we can prearrange the flight path, and all we need to do is to press a button, and then the drone will be able to operate automatically. And secondly, we will focus our operation in areas with low population density. But going forward, we're also planning to deploy drones for surveillance in areas of high population density. Next, we will also deploy drones sometimes on an ad hoc basis, but we will also consider doing it on a regular basis so that we can have more enhanced the flexible deployment of drones. We also would like to do more in terms of publicity, because when we use drones, we are talking about protecting our society and members of the public, enhance our deployment efficiency. The members of the public may worry that we may be encroaching on their privacy. So by using this pilot, we want to show the public that we already have a very well-planned deployment for the scheme. Finally, what is also important is that we are now, implementing low-altitude economy, and in which we will use many drones. And when we talk about the transmission of, messages, we need to collect a lot of data. So the data collected by our drones, they will be given to the government, so that we will be able to make a contribution to develop our low-altitude economy. Next, I wanted to show you a short clip regarding the important aspects of our pilot scheme that you should know. Starting from Friday, the police have been using drones to conduct aerial surveillance, and we believe that this can help us save on manpower and enhance efficiency. The drones used for patrol are no different from other drones. Since Friday, the pilot started in West Kowloon. So in the border district, officers work in shifts, and in each shift they need to conduct patrols in the district. So each and every time. There will be 2 or 3 officers. They will spend about 1 hour using the drones to conduct the patrols, and it takes about 15 to 20 minutes. In the West Kowloon district, the drones are manually controlled, but will the drones be too close to private, premises and invade on people's privacy? The police actually will inform the residents in the buildings concerned 1 week in advance. And another question is whether the drones will actually scare off the criminals. If we can inform the public, and even if the suspected criminals are aware, and because of that they are deter from committing crimes, and we would have achieved our objective. In public areas, we will only conduct surveillance unless in the course of the patrol and surveillance we discover that a crime is being committed, during which we will conduct investigation and also take video recordings. As far as safety is concerned, in each police district, they will have about 20 drones, and in the evening they can use infrared lens to assist with the surveillance. And the police may also be using these smaller drones equipped with parachutes. And in the next stage, you'll see that operations are being carried out in Cheung Chau and also in the Peak area. So in that press clipping, you'll find that we talk about what we do in the border district. That is the we have a prearranged route for the drones, and the drones will automatically conduct patrols in the area, and the pilot will monitor the safety of the drone and what the drone is finding out. And if they discover that crime is being committed, then the drones will be controlled manually so that we will use that to take evidence. What we can do in the border district is that, as you can see, in the entire border district, the border is about 30-odd kilometers long. We've selected the Heung Yin Wai area for the pilot. If we conduct manual patrol, I think the drones can actually shorten the patrol time by about 50%. So it will greatly enhance efficiency. And secondly, we hope that by officers working together with drones, and the data that we have obtained, which can be given to the government, we would be able to collect relevant data. And we also conduct, anti-crime, operations using drones in the urban area, and we plan to do it in the West Kowloon district. And here, this is a very complex district. We're talking about an area where there are no security guards in the buildings. The buildings have no gates and no CCTV. And this would be a hotbed for crime. The area is complicated not only because of its topography, but also because there are many buildings with curtain walls, which will actually adversely affect the ability of drones to collect data.
And we'd like to collect more data so that in future we will be safer with all the data available. Third, we'll identify areas for consideration. And we do have the strategies. There are 3 things here. First, for the average person in Hong Kong, they would be concerned about privacy. Second, safety. Will the drone be falling out of the sky? Third, in the operation, would there be enough support. Let me take you through them one by one. First, privacy. From the point it lifts off to the point it comes down, in the whole process, we would do the planning ahead of time in order to make sure that every time we mount operation, the flight path will not cover any areas that will not be needed or necessitated by the patrol. And we will not be covering anybody outside this area. Second, given a choice, for instance, if you want to patrol this area, we will not be lifting off in the proximity of the residential dwellings. We would be lifting off outside these areas, so we would be pre-planning the entire flight path. We will not be just going by the words of the controller, and each and every operation will be vetted by a superintendent. And every operation will have to go by the pre-defined plan. And we would have the record afterwards, so we have to make sure that everything is going according to plan. If anything were to happen and we lower the flight path to investigate, in other words, if we deviate from the predefined route, we will have to document everything to make sure that under any circumstances, everything would be standing up to scrutiny. And also, we have to have regard to the PCPD's guideline on CCTV surveillance and use of drones. As we said in the clip, in the flight path, we will be putting a banner to make the residents and the passers-by aware of the drone operation. And also, like police vehicles, we have the decal, we have the red and blue flashing light to indicate that the drone operation is going on. Other than the flashing lights, we have the idea of instant surveillance. There will not be any recording. As I said in the clip, in the course of the flight path, if we pick up any fights, any robbery, and arrests will have to be made, then recording would start kicking in at that point. And you may ask, we may be capturing things and that are not part of the event. According to the personal data guidelines, we would have to abide by all the requirements regarding the use and the destruction and the retention of the data. We do adhere to all these guidelines. I mentioned all the guidelines, the flight path and the plans, and everything will be incorporated into the Commissioner's confidential directive. And everybody has to be abiding by this. Flight safety, that we would try to avoid hovering above areas where there are a lot of people and a lot of vehicles. Second, we would identify the right equipment. I will not be deploying the Alaska model this big to the area, because this would present risks. We would be using the smaller size drones where possible. In terms of flight safety, we do have the precaution that this is the parachute. Now, if one of the rotor blades experience any malfunction, or the angle is experiencing some malfunction, or the drone is experiencing some difficulties, the parachute will be opening and there is the sound emission of 120 decibel in order to make sure that even if the drone were to lose altitude, we still have the parachute, and we would be emitting the audible signal to warn people of the danger. Other than that, we have to support the controllers. I mentioned the docking system and also the programming and also the flight path. We do have very specific directives and training to the controllers to make sure that they will be able to maneuver the drones properly. As I said in the Commissioner's Directive and also the PCPD's guideline, we would be highlighting the specific areas that the controllers will have to abide by, and the frontline officers will really have to adhere to these. Also, we do have close contact with the Civil Aviation Department to make sure that the drone operation will measure up to the aviation safety on the part of the CAD. I've got two clips, very short ones, to let you know about the border district and also the West Kowloon Patrol. And there is the audible navigation, and you might wish to pay attention to the details. This is the border district, and this is the Heung Yun Wai police station. And this is the docking system. We have already had the predefined flight path. The drone is flashing with red and blue lights. As you can see, the camera is pointing down. When the drone is in flight, we will have the panoramic view. It may be flying past the building, but the camera is pointing down. Now this is giving us the thermal imaging for us to pick up the details in the dark. This docking system can recharge the drones and also has the rain gauge. We have to make sure that the drone will be flying in safety. And this is the Heung Yun Wai border district. Let's now turn to the West Kowloon regional headquarters. This is the 3-0 buildings. As you can see, we are looking down from above, where we can see the scaffoldings, the small alleys. We can deploy manpower patrol, but I mean, it's not really as efficient as the drones, which can have a panoramic view of the area. We would put up the notice of the drone operation, and the angle of the camera will not be picking up anything that is going on inside the windows. We have the flashlight. When necessary, it can be flashing or shining on the targets. We also have the broadcast system where we can broadcast certain slogans. This is the West Kowloon region when we deployed the pilot scheme. The entire pilot scheme cover a period of 3 months, and during these 3 months we will be summarizing our experience in terms of technology, the equipment, and our operational details to guide us through the next step. And in the other 2 areas, the Peak in Central and also Cheung Chau, we will be deploying the pilot scheme, and after 3 months, we will be conducting the patrol there. So much I have to say for the time being regarding the pilot scheme. Vice Chair, Mr. Chen, comments or question? Yes, a question, Chairman. Mr. Yu, I didn't have any ideas just looking at the clips, the electrical organized delegation showing us how the drones are deployed to inspect the pylons or the cables. It's reasonable for them to go over the predefined area, but in urban areas you will be monitoring the controller. Now, you would avoid infringing on privacy. Will you make sure that in each and every patrol there will be 2 police officers side by side monitoring one another, and there will be supervision, in other words? Second, when we conducted the site visit, the charging dock is very heavy. Unless you have the mobile vehicle moving along with the docking system, it would be very difficult for you to do so. I don't think you would have a special mobile vehicle taking the controller all the way. So are you going to be having at least 2 officers? And will they be starting from the police station, let's say Shamshui-Po, you'll be starting from Shamshui-Po police station, or Chengsha-Wan for that matter, that the drone will have a battery life of 2 hours, and they will have to go back to the docking system for recharging. If you don't charge it up, it would be very dangerous. It would be falling out of the sky. I mean, you may have to deploy the parachute. So my question is, will you have to make sure that you will be starting flying from the police station, or will there be at least 2 police officers to monitor the whole operation?
你幫我哋回應啊。
等我嚟。
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me sum up your questions. First of all, I think the drones make very detailed observation. When we've now regarding the operation of the drones, whether or not it's the patrol we conduct in the border area or in the West Kowloon district, where our officers will use remote control to control the drones. We are actually conducting patrol beyond the visual, range. So we want to ensure safety. Secondly, earlier we said that we do have, if we want to have a super visual surveillance, we have to consider the mileage of the drones and so on. And secondly, the question whether or not we deploy 2 officers to operate the drones. If we have, now we do have a monitoring system, but for 2 officers to conduct a drone operation, we are talking about, we have to first of all consider the safety, issue. First of all, visual, monitoring of the drones on the one hand, and also whether there are any danger points, in the vicinity. What happens if you have, a flock of birds, flying, near the drones? And during the flight of the drones, if a crime is being committed, a single pilot cannot use a remote on one hand and then, take recordings at the same time. So we therefore must have 2 officers at the same time. You are worried whether or not, while we don't intend to take video recording, you end up making recording. Now, that, because by means of that mechanism, that is before the flight, the operation, we will plan the flight path beforehand so that we will not be able to lie. There are records to recording and data recording the the flight of the drones. And these are scientific data which can enable us to find out whether or not there's any deviation from the flight plan we have made before the operation. And secondly, regarding the time of the battery which can be used. Now, normally, I think the drone can fly for about 20 to 30 minutes. The duration of the flight depends on certain constraints. For example, the speed of the drones, the wind speed at the time, which may affect the duration of the flight. In terms of police operation, I think if the drone can fly for 30 minutes before we can recharge, then we don't need the drones to carry a very heavy or bulky battery. And finally, you asked whether or not in all our flight operations we will start or take off from a police station. We may consider doing that sometimes, but not entirely. Take Heng Yuen Wei, for example, the hangar will be placed within the police station because in each operation, we would first inspect the hangar to ensure that it is safe. And secondly, we need to place them in a safe place so that they will not be, interfered with. And thirdly, we want to ensure that the flight path will not affect the residents nearby. That's what. But on the other hand, if we place the hangar in Samshipo district and the drone flies to Yaochim area for surveillance, the drone may actually fly over areas which we do not need to survey. This is not something we want to happen. That's why for an area we plan to survey, we will not have the drone take off from a very distant place. Thank you. Mr. Chen, do you have any follow-up questions? If not, Mr. Yu, thank you. I noticed that you say that you have to first of all vet the flight path before the operation, and also you will vet that afterwards. Now, the data before and after the flight. Now, the superintendent said that you have something like a black box so that you can check whether or not the drone had deviated from the planned flight. For how long will the records be kept? Because such records may, in future, be when CAPO receive complaints. For example, the drone had actually interfered with the privacy of people and so on. There could be any kind of complaints. So how, if the data was kept for a very short time, how would we be able to use such objective data to determine whether or not the complaint is justified? A simple example, LETRU is now vetting the bill regarding the use of drones and low-altitude economy. We're talking about 20 drones with 20 to 70 kilograms. The flight record will have to be kept for 6 months. Will the police keep those records for 6 months or longer so that you'll be able to help CAPO and IPCC to check those records? Regarding the retention of the flight data, sorry, Mr. Chen, thank you. I'm worried that criminals may pretend, use drones and pretend to be police officers and collect data which would jeopardize the police operations. How will we be able to address this problem? In my mind, a simple solution could be that on the police website, whenever you are going to have a drone operation, you tell the public when and how, when and where the operation will take place, so the people will know that if the police has not announced that there are drone operations in the area, then people would be alerted. I agree with Mr. Ng, that is, the IPCC in future may need to deal with many of such complaints. Thank you. Now, who would like to respond? Now, first of all, at the moment, it is possible that members of the public may report to us saying that there are drones appearing outside the windows. For such cases, normally when people file a complaint, then our officers will go to the premises concerned to check whether or not there is such a drone and also try to find the pilot of the drones. And if we succeed in doing that, we will conduct, investigation. We would also check whether or not, in respect of the complaint, we discover any hot spots, in which case we will carry out special operations. Thirdly, if the public wants to know whether or not there are police drones flying in their vicinity, then, as I said before the operations, we would actually put up banners informing the public that police drones are actually, in operation. And there's a QR code for people to actually check the information. And thirdly, and fourthly, like the Deputy Chairman said, in this sandbox scheme, I think we are one of the stakeholders. Together with the CAD, we have come up with some proposals that is regarding the registration of the drones and details regarding the owners of the drones. We would display them because this would, it's like the cars running on our roads. Each car has a license plate, and each driver has a driver license, so that when we conduct investigation, it would be able to help us with the investigation. Thank you, Chairman. I have a similar question to ask. Let us assume that the police will conduct, patrol on the road, and in the case of emergency, you may not completely follow the road traffic regulation. Of course, you will not. Of course, under normal circumstances, when there's a red light, you will stop. But in Hong Kong and also in LegCo, we are now trying to enact a legislation regarding a low altitude economy, and we discuss issues regarding the weight of the drones and so on. Now, for the police drones, will they be also covered by the law? Would they be regulated by the law, as in the case of the police vehicles, running on the roads? So, now regarding the category of drones, you use the weight of the drones. Now, when you said that when you conduct surveys, there are lights. The lights on the drones will be on. So how are we going to deal with these drones in the law? Is it that all police drones are? I'd heard that you have detailed plans regarding your drone operations, but we're talking about two different situations. Now, first of all, regarding safety, when police officers use drones in their operations, if the drones fly above a prescribed altitude, or let's say if they fly at night, we would inform the relevant departments, because we're talking about flight safety here. And secondly, is it that these drones will not be subject to regulation? That's not true. Take our pilots, for example. Actually, the CAD I think regarding people using drones in Hong Kong, they will need to be properly qualified, and we have extra requirements. The police pilot will not only need to be qualified, we have also enhanced training the officer as to how to use our police drones. So we have sufficient training and measures in place, and we also have the undertaking to ensure that there is safety when we conduct these operations. Regarding police vehicles, switching on the red and blue light, and in an emergency, the police vehicles may need to speed. But when drones switch on the lights, it's not because they need to speed. It's just that we want to show the public that there is a police drone, conducting an operation. Of course, when we fly the drones, of course, we would also make sure that that we operate them safely. Thank you, Mr. Koh. I was watching the social media just now. In Easter last year, in one of your operations, there was a heated discussion on the internet. People were all complaining about, personal, privacy being encroached by one of your operations. So I think you may need to do more here. One extreme comment it was whether or not the drones will be equipped with weapons. That is, so perhaps Mr. Koh can explain that. There are two aspects here. First of all, for police drones operating in Hong Kong, at the moment they are not equipped with any weapons. Secondly, in places outside of Hong Kong, in any war zone, I think we all know that drones certainly could be equipped with weapons. Thank you. Mr. Lau? Thank you. Two questions, Madam. Have you considered that if somebody would viciously, deliberately, destroy or damage the drones, what actions would the police take? And secondly, assuming someone, deliberately damaged the drones and is being caught, what will be the penalties? Will he be charged for damaging public property, obstructing police officers, or what? And finally, in case you have a drone falling down and is damaged, how would you recover the drones to ensure that all the data and everything you can recover?
First, about the offense. Let's take the police vehicles, for instance. There may be cases where the police vehicles may be vandalized. For the police drones, we do need to have prolonged training. And assuming that someone is vandalizing the drones, if they get arrested, they will be prosecuted for criminal damage. If they assault police officers, then they will be charged as such. And we have to ascertain the motives behind the action. It will be on a case-by-case basis. Second, if there are accidents involving drones, as I said, we're talking about visual operation, visual flight, and we do have the predefined flight path. So we will be in a position to tell where the drone has come down to. I mean, even if there is an accident, we would know where the drone is. We will be able to salvage it. You may then ask whether there is any confidential information or any clips that might be leaked. We have given due consideration to that. Now, even if in the course of the flight, we do need to do some recording to gather evidence. And the transmission would be conducted by the controller instead of by the drone. So if you pick up the crash drone, you will not be able to find any personal information pertaining to the members of the public. Now, for each and every crash, we would conduct investigation to ascertain whether it is a problem with the drone or the controller or the environment or vandalism and so on. We will be conducting this. Everything will be on file. Well, let's make it the last speaker, Mr. Zhong. A very heated discussion there. Now, you said you have the predefined patrol flight path. Will you allow only the police drone to fly in that area? How extensive will the area be? If you come across any other drones in the flight path, how are you going to deal with that? Superintendent Ko, thank you. Thanks very much for the opportunity. Now, for the use of the airspace, in terms of the use of drones, they will be subject to CAPO 448G, the SUA order. There is a requirement regarding the altitude, the speed, and also the timing, whether they are flying the drones at night. Now, the presence of the police drone would not make any difference to the situation. We'll have to work on the basis of the law. They will have to fly according to the legal requirements. In the course of the flight, or even during the patrol, if we identify a suspicious drone in flight, I'm sure that we will investigate the drone. There are two more members, Ms. Mabel Chen and Mr. Peter Shiu. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks very much, Superintendent Ko, for the briefing. I'd like to ask a broader question. Now, from your presentation, drones will assist the police in the patrolling or policing work. Now, there are two areas here. The first one is a sparsely populated area with less in the way of tall buildings, and these are the open areas. The other part would be the more densely populated area. Now, my question then is, if you were to deploy drones for patrol, how much savings in terms of manpower would you be able to achieve? Well, I guess, Mr. Ko? Yes, in the entire pilot scheme, the whole focus is to make sure that by way of smart policing, we will be able to deploy the manpower to enhance our policing work. At this point in time, we haven't got the information as to the savings that can be achieved in terms of manpower. In this small step that we have taken in the pilot scheme, we are easily deploying the same amount of manpower. Now, for a drone, I will have to deploy 2 officers. Then you might ask, when the drone is in flight, the police officer can be deployed elsewhere. That's a flexible deployment, but it doesn't mean to say that we don't have to be standby. If we need support, at least we would have the police officers rendering support. So we haven't quite been able to ascertain the savings that we can achieve in manpower. I'm sure that in the long run, with the deployment of drones and AI, we would be able to achieve some savings. But in the pilot scheme, we are not focusing our attention on this. We're focusing more on the flexible deployment. Well, let me add this. I presume that other than saving manpower, the drone can also be able to do something that human beings would be able to do. Now, human beings will not be able to achieve what the drones are able to do. Mr. Peter Chiu, Chairman, that the drones are flashing the red and blue lights. Mr. Ko is saying that when people are seeing these lights, this would serve as a warning for people. This can act as a deterrence. When the lights are flashing, that doesn't mean that you're going to be flashing the red and blue lights when the police drones are in flight. Now, what about undercover operation, and you don't really want to mount certain operation in public? Will you still be flashing the lights? Mr. Ko? Well, in the entire pilot scheme, we are actually doing the policing work. The location that we deploy the drones are the public places. So when the drones are in operation, they will be flashing the red and blue lights, whether it is daytime or nighttime. Mr. Xiu, well, in certain special circumstances, you might have gathered some evidence. We need to monitor certain people or certain crimes. Will you be turning off the lights in your surveillance operation? Well, you're talking about the covert surveillance that would fall under the surveillance ordinance, and that would fall outside the ambit of this pilot scheme. Thank you. Well, this is still the stage of a pilot scheme. What Mr. Ko is telling us is the things involving the pilot scheme as how it will be evolving. Let's keep our eyes peeled. The MS, Madam Chair, thank you very much for the opportunity to brief members on this pilot scheme. Members have given us very valuable comments, and Mr. Ko has already addressed all these issues. We will continue to explain this scheme. Indeed, like you said, Madam Chair, we hope that we will be deploying technology to enhance the police efficiency while at the same time prevent crimes from happening. Thank you. Right, so much for the pilot scheme. Item 3, matters for information. A, CAPO's monthly statistics. And you have Appendix 4, and B, CAPO's criminal and disciplinary checklist. Appendix 5 contains all the details. Please, the representative will take us through the details, please. Madam Chair, members, I'll be reporting to members the latest trend, the reportable complaints from left to right. 2023, January to May, reportable complaints. First 5 months in 2025, a total of 1,067 reportable complaints have been received compared with 2024, up by 113 or 12%. The main increase lies in the complaints rising from the police, traffic police, and the uniformed police. Now, for uniformed police, there are 3 complaints, basically impoliteness, unable to investigate cases properly, and failure to take action properly. For the first 5 months in 2025, 97% of them are of minor nature. Let's have a look at the figures for the 3 years. As you can see from the left, minor cases, neglect of duty, misconduct, rudeness, 23 to 25, and January to May, they take up the majority, about 95% of the cases. For serious cases, they take up 5%. First 5 months in 2025, compared with 2023 and 24, we are registering a downward trend. January to May 2025, the complaints endorsed 1,164, 41%. The blue portion have been withdrawn, 38% yellow, unpursuable. The grey portion, 9%, they are dealt with by informal resolution. For the remaining 12%, orange, blue, green, they have been investigated, and only 2% are substantiated. So much for the report. Thank you very much. All right, let me put this to members. Any questions or any issues like to highlight? If not, Mr. Yu. Well, the last one, the criminal and disciplinary checklist, and they are in the appendix. I've got nothing to add there. All right, criminal and disciplinary checklist. Any comments or questions? If not, thank you very much, Mr. Yu. We don't have an AOB item. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for attending. Now TV. 2025 for the first 5 months, neglect of duty and misconduct, impoliteness and offensive language, a rise of 45% and 27% respectively. What are the reasons for that? Is it because of a lack of training on the part of police officers? Why is it that we have seen such a sharp rise? Well, you're asking about the statistics. I defer to Mr. Yu. As we heard just a few moments ago, we've seen an increase in the number of complaints. I've been here for a decade. There are ups and downs in terms of complaints. We have to ask whether there is a trend that would arouse our concern. We haven't quite seen such a trend emerging. If there is an emergence of a trend of a particular type of complaint, we will certainly get in touch with the police to minimize the complaints. But we haven't picked up any trend yet. Second, for allegations of serious nature, they represent 3%. Normally, it would be more than 5%. And we don't feel that this is a serious matter. And we are very concerned about the complaints of serious nature, but they represent only 3%. We will liaise closely with CAPO. So for the first 5 months of this year, we have to identify whether there are any trends. We haven't seen any trends yet. If we do, we will get in touch with them. TVB, 3% of cases of serious nature. Can you tell us the nature of these complaints? Why are they serious? And have you followed up the matter with the relevant officers? Before Mr. Mui takes the question, I must say that for each and every case, we would handle them seriously. Now, these are reportable complaints that defer to Mr. Mui about the 3%. We don't know yet the details about these 3%. The CAPO will have to conduct the investigation, and a report would be submitted to us each month. We would know the nature of the allegations, but for the details, we're not in a position to tell yet. The IPCC and the chair attach a lot of importance to the serious complaints, and if necessary, we would pass them on to the committee on serious allegations. We would work on the basis of facts. We are working in broad daylight. Each and every case will be scrutinized in sufficient detail to ascertain whether the complaints are substantiated. Over the years, for cases, serious cases that are substantiated, the number is really few and far between. Normally, they are minor cases, neglect of duty, misconduct, and mean politeness. They are substantiated. Cable news. This year, there is an opinion survey on the part of the IPCC. The rating has been coming down in terms of popularity. So other than these investigations, are you going to be investigating acts that are bringing the police into disrepute, like taking photos in uniform and so on? And would you be also having regard to the system in other parts of the world to increase the power of the IPCC? And the people are saying that the IPCC is actually a toothless tiger. Well, IPCC is a statutory body. All the powers and functions are conferred upon to us by the law, and we have the legislation enacted for this, and we would be discharging our function in a serious manner. For cases that should be dealt with, they will be dealt with properly. We will adhere to our principle, that is, we are operating in broad daylight, and we work on the basis of facts and evidence. Now, people might say that we don't have credibility. I beg to differ. We are acting in an impartial, fair, and just manner. And if you need a further supplement, Mr. Boy might wish to supplement. Now, when dealing with complaints, it would be hard for people to say whether we're doing a good job. Are we doing a good job because there are more complaints, or are we doing a good job because there are less complaints? I've been in this organization for more than a decade. I must say that for each and every case, we would examine the evidence and all the areas that would determine the substantiation or otherwise of a case would be examined. And all the cases will be dealt with in a just manner. The number of complaints, whether they are high or low, we are working in the office. We will not be telling everybody with a great deal of fanfare how we handle the complaints, because that would not be fair. It would not be fair to the complainants. The key thing is, on our part, with each and every case, we would be dealing with them in a just and fair manner. It's not just the Secretariat. The entire Council will have to make sure that everything is reasonable and sensible, and that's the key thing. We do have the confidence to make sure that each and every complaint will be handled in a fair and just manner. We have a two-tier structure. CAPO is the first tier of the structure. We have the second tier. A moment ago, you saw the statistics. There are 79% of the cases that are withdrawn or non-pursuable. 38-41 taken together, 79% represent a pretty large proportion, close to 80%. I must reiterate that lodging a complaint is a serious matter. Lodging a complaint against the police officer discharging their duty is a serious matter. So I hope that if there are complaints, the complainant would honestly come forward and follow through the complaint. Many a time, CAPO conducts the investigation, and it would be hard for CAPO to find the complainant. But I first assume the post many of the complainants even withhold their identity. It would be hard for the cases to be pursued. So it's not a question of credibility. In many cases, 30% of the cases are withdrawn, and 40% of them are non-pursuable. Thank you. I know that Mr. Chen has got something to add. Thank you.
Actually, the IPCC for a long time had been proactively going to the community, visiting schools, talking to different stakeholders. So promote or explaining to them the terms of reference of the IPCC, and we always encourage members of the public that whenever they encounter any situation where they believe that they need to complain against police officers, we would encourage them to do that. So whether we have more or fewer complaints, like Secretary General said just now, it doesn't indicate a particular trend. Indeed, the number may go up and down from time to time, but when the numbers go up, it doesn't mean that there are many things wrong with the police department. Because over a long period of time, we have been going to different communities. We've actually visited each and every school, and we've also produced many short videos and showed them on social media. We also have, whenever we make any presentation, we would also explain to the public about the rights to complain. Of course, like the chairman said just now, the public also has the responsibility to provide adequate, information, at least the names and the contact, so that to us, so that we would be able to ensure that there's a better chance that the complaint could be, established. Very often, many complaints simply cannot be followed up, and it's not that we are aiming for more complaints being entertained or not. But if the fact is that if there is a genuine complaint, we would want to actually, find out the truth. Commercial radio. Well, you said that almost 80% of the complaints are anonymous. What is the main reason for that? Is it because the public don't know too much about the system? That is what are the things that they can complain about and those that they cannot. Thank you. 79% comprises of two parts. First of all, complaints which are proactively withdrawn by the complainant. As the reason why they withdraw the complaint, that would be for the complainant to explain as to why they decide to complain and subsequently decide to withdraw the complaint. That we would have to ask them. Secondly, complaints which are not pursuable. Complaints which cannot be followed up further, or complaints which are not pursuable. We cannot find the complainant. I've actually made appeals before. If anyone complained against police in the course of discharging the duties, we would like the complainant, we urge the complainant to give us the names and ways by which we can contact them. But very often it is regrettable that we're not able to contact these complainants, and hence, therefore, we cannot, pursue the investigation any further. So these two categories together will make up 79% of the complaints. Thank you. Actually, when someone makes a complaint and eventually withdraw the complaint, the IPCC would deal with that carefully. We want to find out whether or not the case is actually being withdrawn. We would ask CAPO to confirm that the complainant has withdrawn the complaint. We can't just take the word for it. Sometimes there would be, recordings. You may even ask the CAPO what is the reason for the complaint to be withdrawn. Is it because after complainants had understood the procedure by which the police operate, then they would withdraw the complaints? I'm not saying that that's the only reason why people withdraw the complaint, but this is one of the reasons. Sometimes after the complainant, here's that reason, and then that could be a reason for the withdrawal of the complaint. I gave you one example. That is, after the complainant has understood the police operations and procedures, he may think that he might have made a hasty complaint. As for complaints which are not pursuable, it's not that someone complains and we cannot, find the complainant and that's the end of the matter. In the guideline for the complaint against police officers, there are rules stipulating how many times we should try to contact the complainant, how many telephone calls we need to make, and the times at which you would call that complainant. We would, before we can confirm that the complainant simply cannot be contacted, only then will we withdraw the complaint. So in the mechanism for complaint, there are steps with which there are strict, regulations, and so it's not that we will simply take the CAPO's word for it. Thank you very much.